This chapter focuses on pricing decisions and cost management, exploring how the choices we make about pricing are closely connected to product costs, our long-term strategy, and the realities of the market. We'll discuss a structured approach to setting prices that not only supports profitability but also ensures we remain competitive and deliver value to our customers. Understanding this framework is essential for making informed decisions that balance costs, market demands, and strategic goals. Now let's dive into the three major factors that influence pricing decisions. First, customer demand plays a crucial role. Prices need to align with how much value customers see in a product and how sensitive they are to price changes. If customers perceive high value and are less price sensitive, companies can set higher prices. Second, competitor pricing is vital. A company's market positioning relies heavily on what rivals charge, the alternatives available to customers, and the strategic niche the product aims to fill. Understanding competitors' prices helps in setting a competitive yet profitable price point. Finally, internal costs cannot be overlooked. Pricing must cover the company's costs and ensure profitability over time. The cost structure essentially sets a baseline that prices cannot fall below without hurting the business. Balancing these three factors is key to making effective pricing decisions and managing costs efficiently. Now, let's delve into how customer demand influences pricing. First, demand essentially sets the upper limit, the pricing ceiling, on what companies can charge for their products or services. A key concept here is demand elasticity, which measures how sensitive customers are to price changes. If customers are highly price sensitive, even a small price increase can lead to a significant drop in sales. On the other hand, if demand is less elastic, there's more flexibility to raise prices without losing many buyers. So, successful pricing strategies really hinge on understanding the value customers perceive and how easily they can switch to competitors. This insight helps companies make informed pricing decisions while managing costs effectively. When setting a price for a product, it's crucial that it aligns with the position you want to establish in the market. There are three main approaches to consider: premium, parity, and value positioning. Premium positioning means pricing your product above competitors because customers see it as higher quality, offering unique features, or enjoying strong brand prestige. This strategy works when you want to emphasize exclusivity and superior value. Market rate, or parity pricing, involves matching the prices set by competitors. This is effective when products are quite similar, and the competition centers around other factors like service quality, convenience, or distribution channels. Lastly, value positioning is about setting a price below competitors to attract price-sensitive customers. This approach relies on volume sales and often suits businesses focused on capturing market share through affordability. Understanding where your price fits relative to these positions helps you manage costs and make strategic pricing decisions that support your overall market goals. Now, let's dive into the foundation of pricing by understanding internal costs. First, we have fixed costs. These are expenses like rent, equipment, and salaried labor, costs that stay the same regardless of how much we produce. Even if production slows down or speeds up, these costs remain constant. Then there are variable costs, which fluctuate with production levels. Materials and direct labor fall into this category because they increase as we make more units. It's crucial to consider both fixed and variable costs when setting prices. On top of covering these costs, prices must also include a profit margin that meets the company's expectations. So, pricing decisions are deeply connected to effective cost management to ensure the business remains profitable while staying competitive. Now, let's talk about the difference between long-run and short-run pricing. Long-run pricing is all about ensuring that the product covers all its costs over its entire life cycle. This approach isn't just about immediate profits, it supports broader strategic goals like maintaining profitability and securing a strong market position. It also plays a crucial role in guiding important activities such as product design, target costing, and ensuring sustainable margins over time. On the other hand, short-run pricing is more focused on the here and now. It often aims to cover just the variable or incremental costs of production. This can be especially useful when dealing with temporary issues like excess capacity or when competitive pressure forces a quick response. In these situations, a company might accept lower margins temporarily to protect sales volume or market share. Overall, understanding when to use long-run versus short-run pricing is key to effective pricing decisions and managing costs wisely. Here, we're looking at the target costing approach, which is all about designing products with profitability in mind from the very start. The key idea is to begin with the market price, subtract the profit you want, and then engineer the product to meet that cost. First, we conduct market research to estimate what customers are willing to pay, considering the value, demand, and competition. In this example, comparable products suggest the market will support a $250 selling price. Next, we set the desired profit margin. Management here requires a 20% margin, which translates to a $50 profit on that $250 price. This means the product needs to be profitable enough to meet strategic and shareholder goals. Then, we calculate the allowable cost, the maximum amount the product can cost while still hitting that profit. So, $250 minus $50 gives us $200. If the product's cost is expected to be higher than $200, we have to rethink the design. Finally, the design phase focuses on profitability. We redesign materials, features, and manufacturing processes to bring costs down. In this case, the engineering team aims for $198, using value engineering to make sure the cost stays under the allowable limit. This approach ensures that pricing decisions and cost management support profitability throughout the product development process. Here we have a case study illustrating target costing applied to the launch of a new smartphone. The manufacturer expects customers to be willing to pay $500 for this model. They aim to make a profit of $100 per unit, which means their costs, including manufacturing, distribution, and other expenses, can't exceed $400. However, when subtracting channel and profit goals, the target cost they need to hit is just $200. This puts significant pressure on the design and engineering teams to develop the product within that cost constraint. Essentially, the product must be engineered from the ground up to meet this target cost while still delivering the expected quality and features. This approach ensures that pricing decisions are aligned with cost management right from the start. Here, we're exploring the difference between cost incurrence and locked-in costs. The key distinction lies in the timing. Cost incurrence refers to when a company actually spends money or records the cash outflow for things like materials, labor, marketing, or support. These costs tend to appear later during production or sales activities. On the other hand, locked-in costs are those expenses that become committed much earlier, through design, engineering, and product decisions that effectively determine future spending. So, while the cash is paid later, most of the financial impact is decided well in advance. Understanding this helps us make better pricing decisions and manage costs more effectively. Here, we see a crucial point about managing costs effectively. The key implication is that controlling costs requires us to influence decisions right from the concept and design stages, rather than waiting until production begins. This idea is captured in what we call the cost lock-in timeline. Most of the product's costs are actually committed very early, often before these costs appear in accounting reports. During the concept phase, cost commitments start, but the actual expenses incurred are minimal. As we move into design, more than half of the costs are decided, though expenses are still relatively limited at this stage. When we reach production, there's very little flexibility left to control costs, and that's when costs incurred rise sharply. Finally, during use and disposal, the costs are essentially locked in, with additional expenses related to service, warranty, and end-of-life management. Understanding this timeline is essential for pricing decisions and cost management because it highlights the importance of early intervention. By focusing on decisions in the early phases, we can significantly influence the overall cost structure of the product. Here, we're looking at the core pricing formula used in cost-plus pricing. Essentially, this method starts by calculating the total cost of the product. Then, a target profit percentage is applied to that total cost, and the resulting amount is added on to determine the final selling price. This approach is straightforward and internally focused, making it especially popular in industries like manufacturing, government contracting, and service sectors where costs are well defined. Cost-plus pricing helps ensure that all costs are covered while achieving a desired profit margin, simplifying pricing decisions and cost management. Here, we're looking at a cost-plus pricing example, which is a straightforward way to determine the selling price of a product. The starting point is the product cost, which in this case is $50. To this cost, we add a markup, which represents the company's desired profit margin. The target markup here is 30%, which translates to $15 when applied to the $50 cost. Adding the $15 markup to the $50 cost gives us the final selling price of $65. This method ensures that all costs are covered, and the business achieves a consistent return. It's a simple but effective approach used widely in pricing decisions and cost management. When we talk about life cycle costing, we're looking at the complete financial picture of a product from start to finish. Pricing shouldn't just cover production costs, it needs to reflect expenses across the entire life of the product. This means considering costs during planning and design, like research and development, prototyping, and testing. Then, we move on to production costs, which include materials, labor, and overhead. But it doesn't stop there. Sales and distribution add marketing expenses, shipping, and channel margins to the mix. Once the product is in the customer's hands, there are costs related to service, warranty, and support. Finally, at the end of the product's life, costs such as returns, recycling, and disposal come into play. To set accurate prices, it's essential to factor in all these stages, because costs arise not only before the sale but also during use and after retirement. This approach helps in making smarter pricing decisions and managing costs effectively throughout the product's life cycle. When budgeting for a product like a smart thermostat, it's important to consider the total cost across its entire economic life, not just the production phase. This means including all stages from design and testing through to manufacturing, launch, ongoing support, and finally end-of-life processes. For instance, design and testing account for about $18 per unit, covering engineering and prototypes. Manufacturing costs, which include materials, labor, setup, and quality control, make up the largest portion at $62 per unit. Then, launch and support, covering marketing, distribution, warranty, and service, add another $21. Finally, end-of-life costs such as returns, recycling, and disposal compliance add around $4. When you add all these together, the total life cycle cost for each unit sums to $105 before you even start deciding on the long-run price. This comprehensive budgeting approach helps ensure pricing decisions are well-informed and cost management is effective throughout the product's life. When we think about pricing, it's important to understand that cost is just one part of the equation. There are several non-cost factors that play a crucial role. First, brand value can allow companies to charge higher prices. Strong brands build trust and loyalty, which lets them maintain premium pricing even when their costs aren't significantly different. Next, customer perception is key. How customers view the quality, fairness, and usefulness of a product greatly affects how much they're willing to pay. If they see real value or fairness, they're more likely to accept a higher price. Regulatory constraints also come into play. Laws, industry regulations, and public scrutiny can restrict how a company sets its prices, protecting consumers and ensuring fairness. Strategic goals shape pricing as well. Sometimes, businesses price products to gain market share, enter new markets, defend their current position, or even signal high quality to consumers. Finally, market timing influences the right price. Factors like when a product launches, seasonality, and how competitors act all impact pricing decisions. So, pricing isn't just about covering costs, it's about understanding the broader context, from brand strength to regulations and strategy. This approach helps companies manage costs while making smart pricing choices. Now, let's talk about the concept of value beyond cost. Strong brands have the ability to charge higher prices because customers link them with qualities like trust, status, and a certain experience. Even if two products have similar production costs, their prices can be quite different. This price difference often comes from how consumers perceive the brand, not from how much it costs to make the product. This is what we call brand equity, and it plays a crucial role in pricing decisions. Essentially, brand equity allows companies to set premium prices that reflect the added value customers see, rather than just the cost of production. Now, let's talk about the key regulatory and ethical factors that influence pricing decisions. First, price controls are important because laws may cap or stabilize prices in essential markets to protect consumers. Then, we have antitrust laws, which prevent firms from colluding, fixing prices, or restricting competition. This ensures a fair marketplace. Next, rate regulation is common in utilities and similar industries, where pricing structures often require official approval to prevent exploitation. Ethical considerations are equally critical. For example, predatory pricing, which means setting prices below cost to push out competitors, is not only unethical but also risky for businesses in the long run. Finally, fair pricing practices are essential. Prices should reflect the true value of the product or service, be transparent, and show respect for customers. These regulatory and ethical constraints guide firms to make sound, responsible pricing decisions that balance profitability with fairness. In this chapter, we're focusing on two key strategic pricing approaches: market penetration and price skimming. Starting with market penetration, this strategy involves setting a low initial price to quickly attract customers and build a large volume. For example, if you're entering a crowded market with a new streaming service, offering a lower price can help you gain rapid customer growth. This growth not only increases your scale but also raises brand awareness and encourages customers to switch from competitors, creating valuable switching costs. On the other hand, price skimming takes a different approach. Here, you launch a product at a high initial price aimed at buyers who are willing to pay a premium for early access. This strategy is ideal when you're releasing an innovative device with little direct competition. The advantage is that you can generate high early margins, which helps recover your development costs before gradually lowering prices to attract a broader audience. Both strategies require careful pricing decisions and cost management to ensure profitability and market success. Choosing the right approach depends on your product, market conditions, and long-term business goals. Now, let's delve into digital age pricing, focusing on dynamic and real-time strategies. One key aspect is real-time cost data, where systems constantly update prices based on changes in input costs, shipping fees, and inventory levels. This means prices can adjust as soon as there's a shift in any of these factors, keeping the pricing accurate and competitive. Next, demand sensing plays a crucial role. Here, sophisticated algorithms monitor customer behaviors, like clicks and conversions, along with broader trends such as seasonality and market signals. This allows companies to anticipate demand fluctuations and adjust prices accordingly. We also have A/B price testing. This technique lets firms experiment with different price points quickly, comparing offers side by side to identify which price yields the highest profit. It's a smart way to fine-tune pricing strategies based on real customer responses. Importantly, all these adjustments happen with instant execution. Thanks to digital channels, price changes that used to take months can now happen in minutes, providing businesses with agility and responsiveness that are vital in today's fast-paced markets. Together, these elements transform pricing decisions and cost management by making them more data-driven, flexible, and aligned with real-time market conditions. Now, let's dive into the integrated pricing decision framework. The core idea here is that successful pricing hinges on aligning every factor to support one clear decision. We start with understanding the customer demand. This involves assessing how much value the customer sees in the product and how sensitive they are to price changes. Next, we look at cost analysis to ensure the pricing will be economically viable for the business. Following that, we decide on the pricing logic, whether it's target costing or cost-plus pricing, which guides how we set the price based on costs and desired margins. We also consider non-cost factors like the brand's positioning, competitors' pricing, and any relevant regulations, as these can heavily influence where the price lands. Finally, we make the final price decision. This must strike a balance between profitability and market readiness to ensure the product is competitively priced and sustainable. Together, these steps form a comprehensive approach to pricing that integrates all critical elements for effective decision-making. When ignoring competitive dynamics, prices can slowly drift out of the market whenever rivals reposition, offer discounts, or change the reference points buyers use. To avoid this, it's crucial to benchmark prices frequently and compare them against what customers might pay for alternatives, rather than relying solely on internal goals. Another common mistake is underestimating locked-in costs. Early decisions in design and sourcing set future costs long before they actually happen. To manage this, employing target costing and conducting design reviews early on is essential, since that's when cost influence is strongest. Over-relying on cost-plus pricing without validating it in the market is also risky. A markup might look fine on paper, but it can miss what customers are truly willing to pay. The solution here is to test price points against real demand, how customers perceive value, and how competitors might respond. Lastly, neglecting the full lifecycle implications can lead to unexpected expenses. Costs for service, warranty, support, and end-of-life can wipe out the gains suggested by just looking at production costs. Building prices based on lifecycle budgets, not just manufacturing costs, helps ensure profitability over the product's entire lifetime. These 4 pitfalls are common but avoidable, and understanding the corrective actions for each can significantly strengthen pricing decisions. Now, let's review the key takeaways from pricing in practice. First, it's important to understand that effective pricing strikes a balance between your costs and what the market will bear. If you price too low without regard for costs, you risk losses, but pricing too high can push customers away. Second, the timing of when costs are incurred plays a crucial role. Knowing when expenses happen helps in making smarter pricing decisions that align with cash flow and profitability. Third, target costing is a powerful tool. It locks in profit margins early by setting a target price based on market expectations and then managing costs to meet that price. This proactive approach ensures profitability from the start. Fourth, taking a life cycle perspective prevents unwelcome surprises. By considering costs and pricing over the product's entire lifespan, you can better anticipate shifts and adapt accordingly. Finally, don't overlook the impact of non-cost factors. Elements like brand reputation, quality, and customer experience differentiate your product and justify pricing beyond just the numbers. Together, these 5 principles link pricing decisions tightly with cost management to drive success. To sum up, there are 3 main forces that shape pricing decisions: customer demand, competitive pressure, and how our internal costs are structured. Understanding these forces helps us set prices that really work in the market. Another key point is that the methods we use to calculate costs really matter. Target costing and cost-plus pricing are 2 approaches that help us translate business strategy into practical pricing choices. Target costing starts with the price customers are willing to pay and works backward to manage costs, while cost-plus pricing adds a markup to the cost to ensure profitability. It's also crucial to think about pricing over the entire product life cycle. Decisions made early in the design phase can lock in costs that affect pricing down the road. So, we need to consider how pricing and cost management interact from the beginning all the way through to the product's end of life. By keeping these core ideas in mind, we can make more informed pricing decisions that align with both market realities and our internal cost strategies.